Hey everybody, Kyrie091 hanging out with you. Boy oh boy are we going to have big fun today learning some of the basics of EverQuest Project 1999. In this episode we're going to go over this crazy book that I have open right here. And it's kind of cluttered and I should probably take time to organize it, but I'm not going to do that right now. But we are going to go over the basics of spells and magic in EverQuest. So, basics of magic. It works something like this. Usually you start with a couple of spells. In this case I have Minor Shielding and Burst of Flame. To open the spell book you can either click the little book icon here on your little spell bar. This is your spell bar. Each little slot is known as a gem. You can either click the little book to open it and click it again to close it, or you can type book and you can type book again to close it. Note that while your book is open you are sitting. When you're sitting, you are much more vulnerable to attacks, but you also regen your mana and your health faster while sitting. So the first step to casting a spell is scribing it in your book. You take it out of your inventory, and you can see all these little empty squares in your book. Simply take the paper, click it into any of the empty squares, and after a moment it will appear there, and it's now scribed in your book. If you die, whatever, it'll remain scribed in your book until you remove it. As long as you leave it in there, it'll always be there. Let's scribe the other spell, Burst of Flame. And there it is. The next step to casting a spell is what's called memorizing it. This is where you take it out of the book it's been scribed into and memorize it to your little spell bar there. You can only have up to 8 spells memorized at a time, and after a while you'll get to, right now I only have 2, so I'll go ahead and memorize both of them. You can see the little progress bar draining at the bottom there. After a while you get to a point when you're definitely going to have way more than 8 spells. So it gets to be you have to pick and choose which ones you're going to have memorized. For now that's not going to be a problem. I will memorize both of them and that's okay. Yeah, so that's all there is to preparing to use spells. Why don't we go outside and take a look at what we can do with some of these spells? Well, you know, first before we go outside, let's see about maybe buying some other spells. Do you sell spells? Yes, you do, but you don't sell any that I can use. How about you? No, I want to check. Okay. Nope, nothing I can use. Alright. Okay, I'm going to go find someone who sells some spells I can use. Okay, so this merchant right here, Tripo Mirop, sells spells. Just right click on him to see what spell we want to get. And here are some options. We can get the Summon Drink spell. We'll go ahead and buy that one just to demonstrate. We can get, what else can we get from him? We already have Burst of Flare, or Burst of Fire, I mean. And we'll go ahead and get Summon Dagger. We'll buy that too while we're here. Another merchant that's in here that you might want to check out before you leave your opening guild is the person, where is that person, who sells some assorted supplies for you. I don't know, I thought I had found that person, maybe I hadn't. Okay, well, I guess I don't know where that person is. Oh yes, here we go. So, this person usually sells different things you might need for spells, along with a couple of basic early game robes, like this Violet Senior Apprentice robe, which is going to be much better than the robe that I currently have. And I should clarify that this Tripo Mirop guy is not the only guy you can buy spells from in the game. It's likely that wherever it is that you start, there probably will be a guy just like him that sells your low-level spells, and there will be another guy that sells the higher-level spells and whatnot. But I forgot to point something out. Let's see. Let me put this out. Before you buy a spell, you should always make sure that you can use it. For example, I bought the Summon Dagger spell. You can see that it says Mag 1. Well, it's Magician 1. That means that a level 1 Magician can use that spell. Let's say I wanted to use the Summon Bandages spell. It says I need to be a level 4 Magician before I can use that. So if I were to buy that, I wouldn't be able to cast it. Let's see if I can find another good example here. Alright, there's probably some down here. So if you can check out here, the Gate spell can be used by a level 5 Cleric, a level 5 Druid, a level 5 Shaman, level 4 Necromancer, and so on. It lists off all the different classes and what level they have to be to use the spell. So definitely check that out before you go spending your hard-earned money on a spell. So I'm back out here at the gates of Freeport, memorizing the 2 new spells I just bought, Summon Drink and Summon Dagger, just for the purposes of demonstrating here. Okay, so let's first do Summon Drink. Sometimes when you cast, your spell will fizzle like it did the first time I cast it, and it'll basically mean that it failed to cast. Well, there it is. I have a summoned globe of water. I just summoned that using magic. Isn't that neat? If ever I was running low on water, I could simply summon more for myself. There's also a summon food spell. This other spell I have, Minor Shielding. It's a spell that will be cast on myself, and the reason you can tell that is because it's yellow. Yellow spells with yellow backgrounds mean that they will always be cast directly on you, and they cannot impact anyone but you directly. So if I cast Minor Shielding, you can see the casting time draining there, and when it casts, well, there it is. I now have Minor Shielding cast on myself. That's just a spell that gives you a little bit more HP and a little bit more armor class to kind of protect you a little bit. And then these spells with the red background are spells that require a target. You have to target something. I wouldn't be able to cast this red spell now because I have nothing targeted. But if I select this bat, for example, I can now cast Burst of Flame on him, and you can see him get hit by it, and he'll now approach me and try to beat me up. You can see a little message saying that the bat was hit for 1 point of damage by my Burst of Flame spell. Obviously, it's a very low-level spell, so it's not going to do much damage, but let's try out Summon Dagger. And it does just what it sounds like it does. If Summon Drink gets you a, globe of water, Summon Dagger gets you a summoned dagger. You can see it's classified as temporary. That means that if you log out, this dagger will disappear when you log back in. So it is classified as temporary. But you can equip it just like your other dagger. You could use this instead. If you wanted to, or if somebody needed a dagger just for a short time, maybe they died and they needed to go back to get their corpse, but they didn't have a weapon to defend themselves on the way, you could summon them a dagger. And there's better weapons you can summon. You can summon pretty good swords and stuff later on. So that's just the basics of summoning spells. I will meet you back on Excelio, and we'll go over a little bit more about magic, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so one of the big reasons you'll be casting spells is to give cool status impacts on yourself and on others. These are known as buffs, as I'm sure many of you know. This one right here is a particularly popular one called Spirit of Wolf. That makes you run faster. You can see if I remove it by left-clicking it, I am suddenly very slow. If I target myself by pushing tab and then cast Spirit of Wolf on myself, I can move all fast again. Isn't that nice? This one here that is fading away and only has a couple seconds left is another popular one called Clarity. That increases the rate at which your mana regens. Your mana is indicated by the blue bar up here, and every time you cast, you lose a little bit of mana. You can see I have quite a bit to spend, so it's not a huge deal. Spells over here, like you can see the green background, will impact not just your target, but also other targets nearby your target. So if you had a group of enemies all clustered together, this spell Lightning Strike would hit all of them. And then there's the spells with the purple background, like this one. This one's called Share Wolf Form. If I were to cast this with a purple background spell, it would impact everyone in my group, and let's go ahead and cast it right now just to watch what it does. Now there's nobody in my group, so it's only going to impact me, but if I had group members nearby me, we would all be turned into wolves. Look at that. Wolves have a lot of advantages. They can run faster, and they have slightly higher attack power. So, yeah, look at that. Look at that good-looking wolf. Anyway, and if you want to remove an effect, just like if I wanted to remove wolf form, I could just simply click the little logo up here, and I am no longer a wolf. But being a wolf actually is pretty advantageous. There are a lot of other different spells you can cast to positively impact, and there's ones you can do to negatively impact. There's spells that I have here, and a whole bunch of others, but specifically I have ones like Ensnare. That one will slow an enemy down, so that if they're chasing me, they'll walk really slowly as they try to chase me. We have Terrorize Animal, which will make animals afraid of me to make them run away if I cast it on them. So if I have like a bear attacking me and I need him to leave me alone, I can cast that on him and he'll take off running away, all scared and whatnot. And that's just some examples of the different kinds of spells you can get. There's a whole lot more, as you can see by my spellbook, and I don't even have hardly any compared to what some players have. Yeah. So I think that about wraps it up on spells. I don't really have a whole lot else to say. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kyrie091 wishing you a wonderful day. And I will see you in Norath. And across the way there, you guys can see my my new friends Spumoni and Duplicitus boarding the ship there. This ship is going to take them away across the ocean, and we will go over that in another episode. They donated a little bit of money to me to help me to make this episode, because for the purpose of this, I went ahead and made a new character so I could demonstrate some stuff. And I forgot that when I made a new character, I wouldn't have any money that I would need to demonstrate those things, and they helped out with that. So, thanks to them.